Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Or, in the case of today, I hope you're clearing out that backlog of black library fiction that you've got sitting on that shelf waiting to be read or heard, depending on which version you go get. But today we've got a review for you of another Black Library publication, and this one that we're looking at today is from Warhammer Age of Sigmar series, Warcry, Catacombs, and Blood of the Everchosen, written by Richard Strachan. I hope I've got your name right there. If I haven't, I'm really sorry. And the audio drama that I personally listen to is read by Andrew James Spooner. That's a much easier name to say. But let's get talking a little bit about this book and what I thought of it. So as mentioned, I did listen to the audiobook. I'm generally a person that's a bit limited on time. I generally read to audiobooks when I am painting or doing other things around the house, maybe doing the chores around the house for the wife. But I will say, to start off with, Andrew James Spooner, you did a fantastic job at bringing the characters to life, giving a sense of emotion and feeling throughout the story. So this is a really well read audio book. It is an audio book, not an audio drama, and it's really well just read to you by the reader. Definitely one to recommend if you struggle to get into books just being read a bit flat. This one is read really well with a lot of emphasis on character and emotion throughout the entire book. But let's get into the book proper. So the outline of the plot is essentially it's sort of focusing on the Warcry Catacombs story, where you've got all these different warbands. It's introducing one of the newer warbands into the story, which is the Scions of the Flame, as you can see on the cover. And it has a bunch of them fighting over a child. Literally a child. And this child, to all of them, is a bunch of different things. To some of them, it's a sacrifice that needs to be made to appease the dark gods, and others believe it is potentially the child of Archaon. And some, we don't even know what they think it is. They just know they have to get it. It puts a whole bunch of different stories into motion. It really makes you feel that every plot is believable. And throughout the entire story, you really don't know whose path to follow. I find myself more attached to particular paths, but I'm sure if other people listened or read to this book, they would find themselves attached to different paths as well and follow other characters. It does a really good thing of making you feel for all these characters and really growing attached to different parties and making them all feel like the good guys in the end as well. I found it really hard to pick one particular side and that I actually wanted to side with. Getting closer and closer to the end, I found myself disliking ones I thought I liked at the start and liking ones I didn't more at the end. And it does a really good job of playing with those emotions and making you feel attached to all participants when there are quite a lot of parties involved in this entire story. Genre-wise, I think this one just fits straight up into fantasy adventure. It's a bunch of different people fighting for this one thing. It very much, I guess, that sort of everyone going for the gold, almost Indiana Jones style in that way, sort of fantasy, that it's everyone going for the hunt for the treasure. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much, because I love my pirates and all that sort of stuff, so it's everyone going and trying to get the treasure. Maybe that's a little bit why I enjoyed this book. This apparently is the author's first book for Black Library. I had a good little chat with the author on Twitter, and apparently this is their first Black Library publication. They did mention they've got another one coming out. I've forgotten the name of exactly which one that is, but I'll be sure to find that out. But definitely, this is a book worth going and following another author to see what their next publication brings out, because this is great. Yeah, so there's not much really to compare with for this author in Black Library. So this is their first book. But I feel a really strong book, and they've set themselves a really high bar, I think, with this book. As mentioned, like the characters, there's a bunch of different. So we've got the Scions of the Flame, we have Untamed Beasts, and the Splintered Fang are other major parties in there that you get introduced pretty early on to the story of all three of these parties, and they are the three major, but not the only players within the story. And you really do grow attached to all of them in different ways, and none of them really seem like the bad guy, none of them really seem like the good guy, and it's really left up to the reader on which warband they really want to side with. And I feel that's a real strength of the book, in that you can pick the side that you want to side with. It does give you reasons to like all of them, and it gives you reasons to dislike all of them, or even hate all of them as well. And even particular factions within these different warbands pull out and play with your, I guess, heartstrings and your emotions, and whether or not you like particular parts or particular characters in each and every warband as well. I do think this book was really well written, though, all in all. It kept the pace up. It never really slowed down too much to when it was crawling, sort of staggering through plot points that weren't necessary. Everything sort of had a purpose within the story. It covered quite a lot of ground. Where you start in the beginning of the book, you do not think you're going to end where you do by the end of it, and it does a really good job of pulling all these parts and having a very distinct beginning, middle, and end set to the story, which link up really, really well, but are very, almost entirely different stories. You could feel like almost every part of this could have been split up into 3 different books, I feel, but they've done a really fantastic job in, instead of having 3 books for this particular story, where every one of them would have been dragged out, they've condensed it. They've made the story very strong by condensing what could have been a lot more dragged out saga into just one book, and making it really strong because of that. Just really giving you the keen points throughout the entire book that just make you want to keep turning the page, want to keep listening. It is definitely a really engaging book, and I look forward to really listening or reading more from this author. For me, this wasn't what I expected it to be. When I get these books that are released around box sets, they are very one-dimensional normally, and don't really give you that much of a world-scoping story, and this one actually did. This is probably one of the best box set novel accompaniments that I've seen Games Workshop put out, and it's a testament to both the author and, I guess, the team planning, because I know that GW has some recommendation on how they plan these books out, but it's really a testament to everyone involved in putting this book together, that it has so much more world affecting plot lines and stuff like that, and makes it feel more world impactful than just it's part of the box set story. I think that's a really big part of what the book does really, really well. For me, I'd recommend this for anyone looking to... So I always talk about Callus and Toll and their book Silver Shard, or Cities of Secrets, and even sometimes the Spear of Shadows, Eight Lamentations, that they really help flesh out Cities of Sigmar and give you an idea of the sense of how the cities within the mortal realms work. Well, this does the exact same, but for Chaos. This gives you a setting behind Chaos, gives you an idea of how these everyday Chaos folk work, how they live, how they view the world, how they view the Chaos Gods, Archaon, Sigmar, all of that stuff, and it does it really, really well, just showing you and making you feel attached to characters that are Chaos worshippers. And me, myself, I'm a big fan of Order. I love my Stormcast, I love my good guys. But I felt like these were good guys to me. They weren't Chaos worshippers. Well, I didn't feel like they were Chaos worshippers, I should say. I felt like they were just average people trying to survive in the mortal realms. And it allowed me to connect with them, because generally when you try to connect with Chaos characters, you find it, I personally anyway, find it very hard when they're all so existential and they're so far gone. But many of these characters were not far gone. They just were following the gods that they followed, and they had, and their forebears had followed. And this is the interesting thing to me about Age of Sigmar, is that these people didn't necessarily fall to Chaos. They had no choice. There were no other gods that gave them anything, so they follow the Chaos gods. And they live in this world, and that is the world they know. They don't think they're evil. They actually think that Sigmar and the other Pantheon are evil, because, well, they did abandon them. And it gives you a great insight, this book, into everyday Chaos, I feel. And so if you're looking for that down-to-earth sort of look into Chaos, this is definitely a book for you. But also, if you love adventure stories, you love sort of, I guess, the gold rush, everyone running for an objective story as well, this is something very much for you. It has a good lot of fighting scenes mixed in with great tension and character building and world building scenes as well. And even the little spot characters that come in are really great as well. So definitely something for adventure and people who like to see the more down to earth stuff within Warhammer is what I would recommend for it. But I guess we've got to get to that point where I need to give it a rating out of Realm Stones, and so we do things by giving someone a rating out of 8 Realm Stones on this channel. So let's see, how many Realm Stones did I decide to give this book? And I decided to give this 7 out of 8 Realm Stones. This is definitely one of the strongest pieces of Age of Sigmar fiction I've read. I personally was a massive fan of the book, if you can't tell by how much glowing endorsement I've given in this book. I really struggled to find many faults within this book. It's a really, really solid book. And like I said, the authors set themselves a very high bar because this is really solid. And I look forward to reading more from this author. Well, thank you all for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you'd like to come chat with me and other members of our fine community, you can do so by following the link down to our Discord server in the description of the video below. Also, would like to give a special shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon or YouTube members, and they are our Sinful Guard Militia members Christian Weir, Philip Ward, Soren, Kenny Lowell, Alderon Shot First, Chaos Spawn and James Crowder, and our Free Guild Regiment members James and AJC. Thank you all so much for your support. If you'd like to help support the channel like these fine gentlemen do, then you can do so by either clicking the link to follow to our Patreon down in the description of the video, or by joining the YouTube channel. That's it for today though, folks. Thank you all for watching once again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.